So this will be the highlights of our statistics class for this grading. It's called hypothesis testing. Researchers are interested in answering many types of questions, same as what you're doing in your research one and practical research two. So for example, a scientist might want to know whether the earth is warming. A physician might want to know whether a new medication will lower a person's blood pressure. And educators might wish to see whether a new teaching technique is better than a traditional one, or a retail merchant might want to know whether the public prefers a certain color um, in a line of fashion and others. So there are a lot of steps in hypothesis testing when you are going to search the internet. I've only included five because I think these are the most essential steps in testing hypothesis. In science, you are testing hypothesis by means of experimentation. But here in statistics, we are going to test our hypothesis using statistical computation, whether that's in the form of t-test or whether it's in the form of z-test. So the first step that you are going to do is to state the hypothesis and identify the claim. Stating the hypothesis means you have to state both the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. The second one is the critical values. Critical values can be computed using the confidence level of the students, confidence level, sorry, of the research, whether that level is using t-test or using z-test. So when the research use 90% confidence level kapag two-tailed yan, meaning 90% at yan ay z-test ang applicable, remember that equivalent is 1.64. That's a critical value. If that's 95%, meaning to say that's 1.96. And if that's 99%, that's 2.58. That's the last topic that we had. And in compute, this is for the t-test ha, kasi iba din yung sa z-test. And compute the test value using the formula that we had before, and then make decision to reject or not reject the null hypothesis. And then we have summarizing the result of the testing hypothesis. So for this morning, we are going to train ourselves when to reject and when not to reject the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis actually, that's the hypothesis that we are going to test. So isa lang yung rule. But before going on, we know that z-test is used when the population standard deviation is known and the population sample size the sample size rather is greater than or equal to 30. In the absence of the population standard deviation, we can't use the z-test, assuming that you are indicating in your paper that you assume the data are normally distributed or approximately normal. Kasi pag hindi mo sasabihin yan, then we can't use z-test. But there are things that you have to consider in stating whether that's normal or approximately normal. T-test is used when the population standard deviation is unknown and the sample size is less than 30. That's why kapag unknown to, as a replacement, we'll be using the sample standard deviation. If that's greater than 30 and yet population standard deviation is unknown, still t-test pa din yung ating gagamitin. Kasi isa lang yung criteria, ang pwede ang z-test, that's when the population standard deviation is known and you assume that that is approximately normal. Okay? So for the computed, here is how you're going to make a decision. When the computed value is greater than or equal to the critical value, you have to reject the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis, by the way, will state that that there is no difference between the two parameter and specific value. Kapag alternative kasi yung hypothesis, ibig sabihin yan, there is a difference, there is a there is an existence of a difference between a parameter and specific value. Okay? Ang tinitest natin dito ay HO. Ang isa naman ay HA. Okay, kaya ang ating decision ay reject HO at ang isa naman ay do not reject HO. Kapag ka hindi mo kinuha yung HO, do not reject H ang ating sasabihin. Hindi ibig sabihin na accept HA. Although, it makes sense na ang ina-accept naman talaga dyan ay yung HA, pero kasi ang ating tinetest dito ay HO, kaya ang decision mo lang ay reject or do not reject HO. Okay? Okay. Saan ako? Dito tayo. Saan ba ito? For the computed, it should be greater than the critical value. We have to reject the HO. Assuming na ito kasi yung ating normal distribution. Say for example, that is 90% confidence level. So meaning to say your alpha there at 10% or 0.10. So if that's 0.10 and that's two-tailed, so this will be 10%, 90% is equivalent to 1.64. May question ba kung bakit 1.64? Nakalagay yan sa previous slide dati. Yung 1.64, we have here the alpha over 2 is this one. Yung sinishade nyo dati sa normal distribution, yun po yung rejection region. Kapag ang na-compute mong value ay pumasok doon sa naka-shade mo na graph, ibig sabihin, you are going to reject HO. Kapag yung na-compute ay pumasok doon sa sinishade mo na graph, the decision there is to reject the HO. Meaning the computed value is greater than the critical value. Ang critical natin dyan, yun po yung naka-shade. Okay? So let's try this. The computed is 1.82, but the critical is 1.96. What's the decision? Reject HO? Do not reject HO. Graph natin. Ang ating critical, wala siyang sinabi kung two-tailed o one-tailed. So assume natin two-tailed yan. This is 1.96. This is negative 1.96. Meron kang computed. Ang atin pong rejection area yung naka-shade. Kapag pumasok ang computed value dyan sa naka-shade natin, you are going to reject HO. Otherwise, do not reject HO. Question is, saan ko makikita yung 1.82? Nasa shaded region o nasa unshaded part ng ating distribution?
Shaded po.
Nasa unshaded siya. Tama ba? Ang 1.82 ay somewhere here. Ito yung 1.82. Ibig sabihin nito ay do not reject HO. Kasi ang Z computed, ang graph po ay backup ko lang yan kasi baka nalilito, no? Ay less than Z critical. Ang 1.82 ay mas mababa sa 1.96, kaya do not reject H ang decision. Diba ito yan? Computed value less than the critical, do not reject HO. Kung nalilito, kaya ko siya kinrap kanina. Okay? Let's try this. Do we need to graph? The Z computed is 2.54. The Z critical is 2.33. Reject? Do not reject HO.
Reject po.
Very good. Reject HO. Okay? Kapag ni-reject mo, ibig sabihin niya, Para lang sa mga nalito pa din, ano, ang Z critical natin is 2.33, dalawa. Wala siyang sinabi na two-tailed o one-tailed. So 2.33 nandito. Ang 2.54 natin ay pumasok yan dito banda. Dito banda. Kaya mas malaki ang computed kaysa critical, reject HO. Next. T computed is 2.02 while T critical is 1.77. T-test ang ginamit niya. Reject, do not reject HO. Same lang yung rulings. Kahit T-test,
Reject po.
Z-test. We have reject HO. Kasi mas malaki T computed is greater than T critical. 2.02 is greater than 1.77. Kaya reject HO. Okay? Next. Number 4. T computed is 2.24 while T critical is 2.552. Reject HO, do not reject HO.
Do not
Do not
reject, sir.
reject.
Do not reject kasi mas mababa ang T computed of 2.24 is less than T critical of 2.50, 2.55 rather. Kaya do not reject. Next. Z computed is 1.82. The confidence level is 90%. Reject, do not reject HO. Anong katumbas nito?
Reject, sir.
Reject. Bakit siya reject? Ano yung katumbas ng confidence level na 90% kapag Z-test? Z ang gamit. Ito ang katumbas nito ay, binanggit ko to kanina,
1.96.
1.64. Ang 1.96 ay 90%. Kaya, siya ay, mali ang desisyon natin. Confidence level ay tama. Ang Z computed ay mas malaki kaysa Z critical pala ito. Kaya siya ay reject pala dapat. Tama pala yung kanina. Mas mataas ang Z computed kaysa Z critical na 1.64 kaya reject HO. Okay? Next. Ang Z computed ay 1.87, alpha is at 0.05. Kapag meron kang alpha na 0.05, ano yung confidence level niya? Ilang percent? Alpha, 5% yung alpha, ilang percent ang confidence level? Dito yung alpha natin ay 0.1 o 0.10 kasi naka 90% siya. Kapag ito ay naka-alpha 0.05, ano yung confidence level? Minus nyo lang naman yan. So 100%. So yung ating
95.
confidence level ay 95%. 95% confidence level. Ano yung magiging Z critical dito? Kung 95% confidence level, 1 point, ito lagi kakalimutan, 90%, 95%, 99%. Ito ay 1.64. Ano ba? Ito ay 1.96. Ito ay 2.58. So ito ang Z critical natin ay 1.96. Ito po ay para lamang sa Z-test. Iba yung sa T-test. So 1.96, reject, do not reject HO. 1.87 and 1.96. Reject, do not reject.
Do not reject po.
That's correct. Do not reject HO. Okay? Next, the T computed is 2.34. The confidence level is 99%. Ano kayang katumbas ng N equals 21 sa t-test. 21 yung N natin, ano? 99%. Kung 21 yan, ito yung 99% natin. Hanapin natin yung 21. Ito yung 21. So, ibig sabihin, ito siya. Nagets? 2.845. So, kung 2.845 yan, T critical is equal to 2.845. Ano ang decision? Reject? Do not reject HO.
Do not reject po.
Do not reject. Kasi mas maliit ito kaysa doon sa critical value. Sa mga susunod na araw, ito kasi i-compute natin. Ngayon gusto ko lang ma-train kayo kasi sabi ko nga sa inyo kapag mali ang desisyon na gagawin nyo, ulit talaga ang research. Halimbawa, tama yung computation pero mali yung pagkaka-decide nyo na reject, do not reject, sayang pinaghirapan. T computed is at 2.58, alpha is at 0.05, two-tailed. Ano po yung ang ating confidence level kung yung alpha natin ay 0.05? Ilang percento?
95 po.
Which is 95. Kung 95 yan, tingin ka ngayon sa t-test mo, N natin ay 17, tingin ka doon sa 95 na merong N na 17. Ito yung 17 natin. Ito. Tapos 95 yan. Ito yung 95. Tingnan natin sa baba. So ito ay, ano yung kanyang critical value? That's correct siya, Ina. 2.120. Ito siya. 2.120 ito. So kung ang ating T critical ay 2.120, reject, do not reject.
Reject po.
Reject.
That's correct. Reject HO. Reject the null hypothesis. Okay? This will be the seat work, activity number 2 to be submitted sa LMS. Ang gagawin nyo lang, kung nahihirapan kayo, i-graph nyo kung kaya nyo nang mag-decide ng hindi gina-graph, okay lang. Kasi tatanungin kayo ng panel nyo pagdating na sa defense, bakit kayo nag-reject ng HO? Ang dahilan lang, the Z computed is greater than or equal to Z critical. Ito lang ang sasabihin nyo kung tatanungin kayo kung bakit kayo nag-decide na i-reject. Yung dalawang lang. Yung dalawa na yan ang sasabihin nyo. Nagre-reject kayo kasi ang computed value niya ay mas malaki kaysa sa critical. Hindi nyo ni-reject yung HO kasi ang computed value na nakuha niyo ay mas mababa kaysa sa critical value. Okay? Pa-screenshot muna kasi baka mamaya o bukas ko pa ito mas-set. Your answer should be reject HO. Wag lang basta reject, do not reject ha. Kasi baka mamaya, HA ang tinutukoy nyo. Kompleto, reject HO, do not reject HO. That's 1 to 6. This is 7 to 12. Okay, ito naman. At saka ito. Ay, wala na pala. Okay? Sige, kaya kung sagutin yung sagot. That's all for today. Thank you for joining the class. And see you